Hi, welcome back. And now we are ready to begin putting in some bright, high intensity colors. We want to flatten out our portraits. We don't want a lot of shading. Remember that when we look at the portrait of Marilyn Monroe that Andy Warhol did, we see very little shading. We do see some dark contour around here, and the contour underneath the nose and things like that, which give her portrait some shape. So we do want to have those, we want to maintain those things, but we don't want to have, so I'm going to keep George's shadow right here, and maybe I'll make it a little darker so that it turns black the way Marilyn Monroe's was. But we don't want to have a lot of detail in this portrait. We want bold shape, but we also need it to be recognizable. I need my viewer to instantly recognize that this is George Washington and not have any doubt about it being somebody else. Okay, so let's go to increase the contrast. I'm going to go to Adjustment, Brightness and Contrast, and all of your pictures are going to be slightly different and have different needs. I'm going to increase my contrast a little bit. And now I've got this the dark shadow turns darker and the light areas turned lighter. If something disappears, like an eyebrow or maybe a mole or a scar or something that's really important for the viewer to know who that is because of those features, you want to go ahead and repaint those things back in so that your viewer will know who that is. So increasing contrast, adjusting brightness or dark. I think I'm going to leave it just slightly darker. There I go. Click OK. Now what I'm going to do is I am ready to posterize it. And posterizing it really flattens out my design. I can change my level of posterizing by moving the bar back and forth. Oops. Moving the bar back and forth, you can see that it posterizes it at different levels, giving it different gradated values. I noticed that George Washington's hair and his face are colliding together as one value. I'm going to cancel this. One of the things you want to keep in mind is that you are the artist. The computer is not the artist. Your computer is the tool. You are the artist. So if those two things need to be separated, I can draw a line here, maybe a white line, maybe a tiny white line. Which, let's see how this looks. This might not be the best idea. It might work, it might not, but you know, we can try it. And now adjustment, brightness and contrast. Actually, I actually want to do posterize there. Posterize. I think I don't like that line in there, so I'm going to take that out. Cancel, edit, undo, edit, undo, and now it's gone. And perhaps it does look just fine merging together. Perhaps I want to play with some different lines and colors and adjustments. Remember that you are the artist and your computer is the tool. Just like a paintbrush or something else, it's just a tool for you to create your work. Okay, so posterize. I think I'm gonna leave it at this, and I'm gonna go ahead and start putting in some different colors. So I'm gonna replace his actually maybe I'll start with the background color. For this one, I'm going to use the primary color set. So maybe for this I'll use a blue background. So remember that the outer ring chooses the hue, the inner ring chooses the value of that hue. I want a really high intensity blue, so I'm going to go over to the furthest corner where the blue will be the most pure and brightest. All right, I'm going to click the paint bucket. Oops. The blue is chosen on the paint bucket, and I'm just going to start dumping in my blue. I think I'm going to go ahead and leave some of this black in here. And then I'm going to go ahead and start changing the colors in his face. I think I'll start with the lightest, and maybe my lightest will be yellow. So again, paint bucket, changing colors down here. And I'm going to change to a yellow hue. Coming over here, and I want to go high intensity yellow. And I'm going to start painting his face with some yellow. Now remembering that we don't want to have a bunch of shadowy areas because this is going to be a nice flat composition. I can go over this with a fine-tuned paintbrush tool, but I'm first going to kind of use my bucket, fill in. This is where Pixlr X doesn't have this particular feature, and why I'm still using the old version of Pixlr. Maybe I'll use this white line around him from my eraser tool and use the red for that. And I'm just going to continue filling in this area. I think in this area, I might go ahead and even darken it and turn that part black, or maybe I'll use the blue in this. You know, the nice thing about this is that unlike actual paint and brushes, oops, edit, undo, you don't have to commit to anything. You can try it, see how it looks. If you like it, great. Oops, edit, undo. And if it doesn't work, you're not committed to it. I'm going to use the black paintbrush down. Black for this area. I think this one's better black because it needs that really high contrast around his eyes. And just go ahead, black, remember, we're not counting that as a color for this project. And maybe I'll turn his lips. So his lips have really high contrast. We don't want to lose the shape of his lips in there. I think the blue looks cool right there. And I still see some blotches that I need to go over with my yellow paintbrush, which I'll do in a minute. Now I'm going to choose a nice high intensity red. And remember that this actually counts as a red as well. So you're welcome to choose any of those nice high intensity values of red. But you want them to be very high intensity. And oh, that actually looks really cool, splitting the background like that. But edit, undo, edit, undo, edit, undo. And I want to keep my background blue and just make the line red. Put in some red around here. Looking for some areas where a red fits in well. And again, I can take my paint brush later on and brush in and really clean it up. Alrighty, I'm ready to do that. I'm going to click on my paintbrush tool, click on the yellow. I'm going to soften my brush and make it slightly larger. And I'm going to go ahead and scroll really tight into his face and just start painting over any of these, all of these blemishes here, so that his face is nice and flat color. If I see any of these marks along here, like this fold of his eyelid, I can go ahead and use my paint bucket again or my brush tool and changing those colors. Maybe I want some blue in this spot here. Oops, edit, undo. And I'll put some more blue maybe around his eye, or maybe I'll just turn it yellow or black. It's your choice. You're the artist. Actually, I like it black better. There we go. And maybe his eyes will turn blue then. And again, this is our navigation tool on the side over here. I'm going to navigate back over, give him some blue in there around, maybe make some more black, edit. Anything you don't like, you can edit, undo. Black. And you're just going to, oops, edit, undo. Kind of keep playing with it until it's just right. You know, if my paint bucket is bleeding all over the place, and so in this case I might just go in here with a brush tool and make my brush smaller and undo, and begin brushing in some blue into some of these areas. I again want to stay kind of on those lines. I don't want to give him a strange looking eye. Scroll out. If it works, I'll keep it. If it doesn't, I won't. I'll just change it. I'll keep on editing his face until all of these spots are gone on his skin. So I'm just going to take my brush tool. Again, you can make it nice and big. Clean up big areas, but you want to be careful. Just going to kind of keep on cleaning it up and brushing it. Remembering that you are the artist and your computer is your tool. So just keep brushing and cleaning his face until all of those spots of digital debris are gone. I like this red in here, but I want it to be my high intensity red. So paint bucket, gonna scroll out, see, yeah, that's awesome. And I'm just gonna keep going around, fixing all of those small areas of detail that need to be fixed until he's just right. Once your character is complete, it's important to ask for a second opinion. I'll oftentimes ask for feedback from a colleague or a peer, and what do you think of this? And sometimes your feedback might be, well, maybe his chin you should make this a little bit lighter or a little bit darker, and listen to the feedback. Maybe you can go back, make any last minute edits or anything like that. Really refine your character. I think perhaps his scarf is too bright. Maybe I'll turn this red or yellow.